It is speculative, and the reason it's speculative is because there is no information and disclosure from the PTA or the government in any manner. However, a lot of the reporting on the firewall, of course, has perhaps not been very technically sound, and it is important to understand. I can also understand why everybody gets so concerned.
Anything can happen to internet in Pakistan at any given time. If anyone in the government feel that they can replace and they'll probably ban afterwards WhatsApp or any other platform like Facebook and so on, that's an extremely narrow approach.
Hello, my name is Fareiha Aziz. I'm a co-founder of Bolo Bhi. I'm joined by Asad Baig, who is a founder and director of Media Matters for Democracy. We've been hearing a lot about the firewall for some time now, that it has been deployed, it's been procured. And most recently, we saw that there was a disruption with WhatsApp services. Specifically, media was not downloading or we weren't able to transfer it over data. This seems to be the first time in terms of some revelation into the capability. There's to date still no transparency around what it is, what this firewall is. However, this particular WhatsApp disruption, although the government is calling it a technical glitch or a global disruption, but we know that that's not necessarily the case. Asad, can you respond to the fact that the government is attributing this to being a global disruption or a technical glitch? And what do you think actually happened this time with the WhatsApp data?
Look, Fareiha, thank you so much. But first off, let me start with the fact, and this is also something we've been speaking about, right? The term firewall, the word firewall that we are using to describe this whole system, I think that's completely flawed. And this has been one of the main challenges of reporting as well. And I'm very, at the loss of a better word, I'm very disappointed in the media reporting on this also. Because the word firewall depicts essentially it's something which is on a positive note. It has a positive ringing tone to it. And this is an approach, Fareiha, that we've seen over and over again. For instance, more than anybody you would know, when PECA was being introduced, it was introduced as a law to protect women and children. Then the social media rules were the rules to stop the harm for citizens. And then even when Fawad Chaudhry was coming up with that whole idea of centralized regulation, he was calling it Media Development Authority. So this idea of using positive ringing terms has been around for a while, and this firewall essentially is not the term. And you know better than anyone, this is essentially a filtering system. Now, why we believe WhatsApp was being the service was disrupted by the filtering system for a few reasons. First off, if it would have been a glitch, it would have been aligned very nicely with the CrowdStrike, because the recent global outage we've heard of is only CrowdStrike, and there's anything else reported around it. And I don't think that there is any connection between the WhatsApp disruption or the outage of the CrowdStrike, number one. Number two, when the outage was happening, we were able to use the media using a VPN, right? And this was a very clear indication that something or else has been done to disrupt the service at the local ISP level. Now, Fareiha, it's not very difficult to block the data services on WhatsApp. And this a number of countries have done that also. For instance, in the UAE, you can't make voice calls using WhatsApp, right? And the way it's done is that different services on an application use different kinds of technical, like infrastructures. For instance, on WhatsApp, you would notice that when you are taking a chat backup, you would realize that you can't back up the chat specifically with the media for a number of days, beyond a number of days, right? And the idea is that the media usually take a lot of space as opposed to text. So how it works is that WhatsApp usually uses different servers or a different server farm, so to speak, for the storage of media. So once you identify that, it's very easy for you to block the address, because every time you press the download button on the media, the application automatically connects with that server farm. So once you know where that server farm is, the IP addresses and so on, the range of IP addresses, obviously, it's not difficult to block it. Like I said, UAE has done it. A number of other countries have done it also. The problem around here is, and again, this is something we've been speaking about a lot, is the lack of transparency, number one. And then this whole idea of playing innocent, or, oh, we didn't do anything. Like they were doing for Twitter, for instance, right? For the longest time, there was no idea of what happened to Twitter. So similarly, this kind of the kind of notion that we are creating, that anyone or anything can happen to internet in Pakistan at any given time. This presents an extreme, apart from the whole rights debate and so on, that extremely important. But this presents an extremely bad image for the basic infrastructure of internet that we have. You see what I mean? The one thing that any international investor, for instance, if you're a billionaire, Fareiha, the first thing you would see is how easy to do business in Pakistan it is, right? What are the facilities? What are the infrastructures and so on? The kind of image that we have presented already with the internet infrastructure in Pakistan, I doubt if anyone, would probably think about, in this scenario at least, think about investing in the country.
Asad, can you also unpack, because you're saying that, of course, we know that the UAE does this very successfully, right? WhatsApp calls are blocked. And you said that it is possible with WhatsApp media just because of the technical infrastructure wise in terms of identifying, and the servers are different. What kind of capability would they have to have here to be able to do this, to identify this one? And also because, there's a lot of concern and end-to-end encryption, WhatsApp. So is this just at a sort of metadata level? Is it going, because people seem to think that, okay, TLS and SSL is fairly secure. That can't be touched. So if you can just, because there are privacy concerns that are being raised as well.
So Fareiha, the first thing we want to, very openly talk about is that all what we are saying right now is based on the speculation. And this is not our fault, because this is the fault of the people who have not said anything about it, right? Because there is no information, we are speculating. And, I would really call upon the PTA that if they really were not responsible for this, then they probably should do a very comprehensive investigation into what happened. A major service in Pakistan was disrupted for a while, and this obviously it's not a common matter. It's not something that you just shrug under the carpet, right? So yeah, speculation, but because of the fact that there is no information, number one. Number two, the filtering systems, the way it works, so there are a number of things, Fareiha, if I may take a minute to unpack this. Number one, why is the UAE doing this, right? Why have they banned the voice calls? The idea behind all of this is, and this has been a long ongoing conversation in Pakistan as well, that when you use a service like WhatsApp, which we call an OTT, like over-the-top service, essentially, you are not using the GSM, which essentially means that you could have been using GSM, and the local GSM companies could have been making money over that WhatsApp, over that call that you're now doing on WhatsApp for free, right? So this idea has been pitched for a very long time, that the exchequer is in loss. I don't agree with this. Because frankly speaking, if let's say a business has this ability to make the calls for free, imagine the kind of ability they have in terms of communication, right? All the businesses, digital businesses that we know of, Fareiha, and you obviously are in this space also, they are operating not on the GSM, they are operating on WhatsApp. They get in touch with you over WhatsApp, they calls over. So this idea, I feel that this needs to be fact-checked properly. It's not, I don't agree with this, number one. Number two, why are we doing this in Pakistan? Are we doing this in Pakistan because of the fact that exchequer is bearing the loss, quote unquote, or we are doing it because we want to discourage the communication on the internet? I feel it's a latter, frankly speaking. Number three, you were talking about the filtering system. Now, and then again, I have to say that the reporting was extremely, extremely bad around this whole firewall thing. Look, first off, the people keep asking questions. Are our banking details safe? If it was that easy to break SSL and hack bank accounts, no bank in the world would have probably digital banking services available. Right? It's not that easy. Crypto was hacked in 2014, I guess, that Japanese agency, which is a famous example for most of these, fear mongers. That was a while ago, and that was purely the fault of the agency itself, the financial agency itself. It's not the fault of the crypto or anything else for that matter. Right? So, number one, even with the filtering system in place, what it can do is unpack the packet and read the metadata. If you want to understand metadata, think about it as the name and the address written on top of any parcel, any logistical parcel, right? They cannot in itself, no system in itself can break the SSL and read the data and then repacket itself. You know, there are terms, there are kind of attacks which are called Fareiha man in the middle. And again, this is something we've been discussing for a while now. Man in the middle attacks, but they're very sophisticated. They're done with a with a very clear intent, and you can't do man on the middle attacks on like a bunch of like thousands of people simultaneously. They're very targeted usually. So yeah, if you're thinking about your banking details, no, nothing is happening to your banking details. If you're thinking about anybody can read your WhatsApp chat, no, nobody can read your WhatsApp chat. They're end-to-end encrypted, which means that from your device or the person you're contacting to, it's in the encryption. Even the service providers don't have the keys to that. And finally, and this has been one of my biggest concerns, Fareiha, the reporting around the VPNs have been really, really problematic. So for instance, a lot of people now think for whatever reason that VPNs are unsafe. And with VPNs, your banking details can be, can become unsafe or can be hacked or whatever. That's not the case. If you're using services which are made available to you through credible outlets such as the Play Store or the Apple Store and so on, these are the apps which made to these platforms after a very rigorous checking sort of mechanism which these companies have maintained. So it's not possible that unless there is a massive security flaw in your own device, I don't feel that this is possible. And lastly, Fareiha, what you were talking about, the filtering system. I think the biggest concern, as you've rightly pointed out many times yourself on, in the media, in your articles and so on, is the transparency or the lack thereof around all of this. Right? The lack of transparency around all of this, because essentially we are paying for the system. We are paying for the system through our tax, right? And we are not. If we are not privy to what's happening, then that I feel is a major problem when it comes to content moderation. And one more thing which we haven't discussed, and I was hoping that maybe we can touch upon that, is this idea of the Pakistani WhatsApp. Now that's hilarious in so many levels. I don't even know where to start with that. Look, nobody's stopping anyone from creating a Pakistani WhatsApp, right? It's extremely good if we have like a local application which people can use as opposed to using WhatsApp. There needs to be a rigorous campaign around local product development around digital products, right? Great idea. But if you feel, or if anyone in the government feel that they can replace and they'll probably ban afterwards WhatsApp or any other platform like Facebook and so on, that's an extremely narrow approach. And I would say that the people who are thinking this and people probably who are using these kind of strategies are going to run us into a wall in so many words. This will do much more harm than good. Again, because of the lack of the time, there are many things that underlying that we can talk about it. But in general, great idea if it's done as a competition, but extremely bad idea if you're thinking that it's going to replace anything.
Thank you, Asad. This is very helpful. To unpack again, I want to underscore what Asad said, that it is speculative. And the reason it's speculative is because there is no information and disclosure from the PTA or the government in any manner. However, a lot of the reporting on the firewall, of course, has perhaps not been very technically sound, and it is important to understand. I can also understand why everybody gets so concerned about at what level these breaches are happening and what happens to our privacy. And I think one of the reasons with local apps is also that if you're going to force local apps and shut down others and not provide that option, then the reason why there is concern is because of locally storing data and then providing access, which we know we don't have protections against over here. This is a conversation that we will continue further as well as more details emerge. Thank you very much, Asad, for making time for Dawn News English.